Hello everyone, guys. Hello everyone. Good evening. How are you all? Good evening, everyone. My name is Afreen and I welcome you all to today's YouTube session. So today is uh, PPB Module B, and the unit name is Grievance Readdressal and RBI Integrated Ombudsman Scheme 2021. So in this chapter, there are two parts: Grievance Readdressal and RBI Ombudsman Scheme 2021, which we are going to discuss in this chapter. I will be giving you a short revision of the complete chapter, followed by some of the important questions that are related with this chapter. So let's start discussing the very first thing. If we talk about the model policy on the grievance readdressal, is based on which principle, means which are the generic principle for actually formulating any policy for the addressing or for solving of the grievances of the customer. The policy is actually based on these some principle. First of all, the principles say that the customer will be treated fairly at all time. It is a very basic principle that the bank should treat customer fair at all time. Second, the complaint raised by the customer will be dealt with courtesy and in time. So there should be a time frame, there should be a time period within which the customer grievances and the customer complaints should be addressed, and the customer need to address that. Okay. Third, the customer will be informed of avenues to escalate their complaints and grievances. See, if the customer is not satisfied with whatever the solution you have given, then there should be a way for the customer to approach the higher authorities, and the customer should be made clear these guidelines that they can escalate this matter to the higher guideline or the higher management if they are not satisfied completely with the solving of the problem. Next, bank will treat all the complaint efficient and in a fair manner. Obviously, bank should treat the complaints in an efficient manner, fair manner, in time, of course. Okay, the employees will work in good faith and without prejudice to the interest of the customer. So employees always is recommended to work in a very good faith. Good faith means without any fraud or without any type of cheating, and obviously they should be treating customer without any partiality or favoritism. So this is the basic principle on which the model policy grievances is actually embedded or is actually given. Okay, now let's talk about the some of the internal machinery which are actually there to handle the customer problem. First of all, there is a customer awareness and facilitation. Bank must inform customer about internal arrangement for handling customer complaint. So there should be an internal arrangement for handling the customer complaint. Bank should inform that. Second, complaint suggestion box should be provided at each office box. So there should be a complaint and suggestion box that is at the each office of the bank. Display complaint and nodal officer detailed on the website. So the display complaint forms and the nodal officer address and the registration is actually clearly stated in the website. Customer can approach the ombudsman if the matter is not solved within the month. So ombudsman, you all know, it is a what it is an ex-employee, you can say, or a high experience employee that is employed by RBI for solving the grievances of the customer in every bank. So customer can complain to the ombudsman if the matter is not solved within a period of 30 days. Now, complaint readdressal mechanism in a bank. Now, what is a complaint readdressal mechanism in the bank? The counter staff is mostly the first point of contact of the customer for raising the complaint. So whoever is sitting in the bench is the first point of interaction where the customer can lodge a complaint. Okay. Now, if the counter staff or the supervisor is unable to solve this complaint, then the matter is escalated to the branch manager. Now, how the escalation is done? First, there is a counter staff. If not resolved, then it is goes to the branch manager. Then it will goes to the regional zonal offices, and finally, it will be addressed in the head office. And if not satisfied with the bank response, the customer has the right to approach the ombudsman within 1 year of the receipt of the communication. So here, if they are not satisfied even with the head office and even with the head office of the bank and even with the management of the head office of the bank, they can go to the ombudsman within 1 year of the communication, of the receipt of the communication. Okay, so this is the escalation method. Next, if we are talking about the online dispute resolution system, so ODR system, online dispute resolution system, in which the complaint can registered in the online mode. So emphasis on the technology is given, customer friendly dispute readdressal program is there. So it actually established the online dispute resolution for some failed transaction and expanding later. There are multiple channels for lodging complaint. There is a third party app also for the dispute of this complaint. Lastly, whatever the information you are uploading in this online dispute resolution portal is actually secured data, and it actually confidential with the customer point of view. Lastly, if we talk about the complaints of unauthorized electronic transaction, so if there is an unauthorized electronic transaction that has been on your bank account and you are not involved in the transaction, so the complaint of this unauthorized electronic transaction is done where? First of all, provide alert for the electronic transaction within a report option. Second, immediate acknowledgement with a reference number. Resolve within the bank approved policy timeline. And if the complaint is not resolved within 90 days, the customer should compensate it as per the RBI norm. So there is a 90 days time period within which this problem need to be resolved. So if there is an unauthorized electronic transaction, so this need to be resolved within 90 days. And if it is not done, then the customer should be compensated as per the RBI policy guidelines. Clear? So these are some strict rules and conditions regarding the customer guidelines. Okay, now next, if we talk about the credit facilities complaint, now obviously there are some complaints which are related to the credit facilities related complaint. First of all, the board of directors should also lead appropriate internal readdressal mechanism to solve the dispute if it is related to loan. So there are various disputes which are related to loan also. To the customer, the board of directors should lay an important mechanism or important mechanism to resolve the dispute related to the loans. Next, if we talk about the dispute arising of the lending decision, it should be heard and disposed of at least at the next higher level. Strengthening grievances readdressing mechanism in the bank. So RBI has actually implemented certain measures in January 2021 for enhancing the customer experience, and banks are required to provide more detailed information about the customer complaint they receive. They might include that what type of nature of complaint it is, the number of complaint, and how these are resolved. If a bank receive a higher number of maintainable complaint, then the average for this peer group will be required to cover the cost of readdress. So always bank has some strength to carry out and to manage the whatever the disputes they are having. So if there are complaints that are above that criteria or above that strength, then obviously RBI assists them in solving that complaint. So it is the need of the bank that bank need to resolve the disputes even which are related with the unauthorized electronic transactions, with the loan related facility. These are all that problems which need to be resolved at the bank level. And if they are not resolved in the bank level, then the customer should be informed about how they escalate this matter to the higher management for a proper dispute settlement. So these are different and important guidelines, and all these guidelines are set up for what? Obviously these guidelines are set up for enhancing the customer experience in the bank. So customer experience is enhanced when their complaint is being listened, recorded, and solved efficiently, fairly, in timely manner. And this is the essence of the readdressal program that are formulated in each and every. Clear? Done? Yes or no? Okay. Next, if we are talking about the principal nodal officer, so there is a principal nodal officer. Bank are always required to appoint a principal nodal officer under the ombudsman scheme. This is very important. So every bank need to appoint a principal nodal officer, which is actually equivalent to the rank of a general manager. So whatever the status of the general manager is there, the status of the general manager is equivalent to the principal nodal officer. Bank need to avoid a principal nodal officer at the rank of the general manager, and the name and address of this principal nodal officer should be forwarded to the chief general manager, Customer Education and Protection Department, Reserve Bank of India. Contact details of this need to be prominently displayed in the portal. So whatever the principal officer is, so principal nodal officer, the name and address, and how to reach that principal nodal officer, all things will be displayed in the official website and portal of the bank, so that if the customer is having any problem, they can directly approach to the principal nodal officer, and they are need to be answerable under Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so this is the principal nodal officer thing. Okay, next, there is a chief customer service officer also at selected banks. So with a view to further increase the quality of the customer services, and there should be an undivided attention in the resolution of the customer complaint, RBI has advised some few banks to appoint an internal ombudsman, which is the chief customer service officer. So chief customer service officer is also known as the internal ombudsman of the bank. This is very important. Okay, so which officer is equivalent to the general manager? It was the principal nodal officer, which is equivalent to the general manager, and which is equivalent to the internal ombudsman officer, chief customer service officer. They are actually equivalent to the internal ombudsman of the. Okay, now the person should have worked in the bank in which he or she is appointed as CCSO. So whatever the bank he or she is appointed as the CCO, the person should not have worked in that bank. So there is a negligence in that. There is a thing is that if you are going to appoint as a CCSO in certain bank, you shouldn't be worked on that bank in the past thing. This is the one criteria which need to be appointed as a chief customer service officer if you are going to appoint as a CCSO in a bank. CCSO is equivalent to the internal ombudsman of a bank. Clear? Done? Okay, nice. Next, if we are talking about the banking ombudsman scheme, so there is a RBI integrated banking ombudsman scheme 2021. Now, the banking ombudsman scheme actually started in 1995, and it has the main view to solve the customer grievances, and it cover every type of bank, be it a commercial bank, regional rural bank, scheduled primary bank, cooperative bank. Every bank has included in the RBI ombudsman scheme 2021. So in November 2021, RBI has actually included or integrated all these three schemes. So there were three schemes of RBI ombudsman scheme. First is the RBI Ombudsman Scheme 1995. Second, RBI Scheme for Non-Banking Financial Company 2018. And the third was Ombudsman Scheme for Digital Transaction 2019. But in 2021, RBI decided to integrate all this scheme and form a RBI, Reserve Bank of India, integrated ombudsman scheme 2021. Okay, so this scheme has actually three schemes. Okay, the three schemes was merged into one scheme and formed as the RBI integrated ombudsman scheme. Okay, done. Now, what is process of complaining in this scheme? If we talk about the process of complaining in this scheme, the first is complaint not valid. Means whatever the complaint that is not valid, the complaint offering suggestion or seeking guidance is actually not valid and are closed. Means if any complaint is actually offering some suggestion to the bank or seeking some guidance, this is not treated as complaint or this is not valid and are closed. Complaints which are not maintainable means the complaint which are based on not based on a permitted ground are separated and the complaints are advised accordingly. Means there are some grounds in which the complaint are entertained. If the complaint is not within that permitted ground, the complaint is not maintainable. Third, valid and maintainable complaint. So the complaint found to be valid and maintainable and assigned to the concerned ombudsman for the further examination. So if we are talking about the processing of the complaint, the ombudsman should respond with all the supporting document within 15 days of registering the complaint. This is important. So the time period which is involved in this or processing of the complaint is 15 days. Clear? So there are some complaints which are not valid. There are some complaints which are not maintainable. There are some complaints which are valid and maintainable. And if they are valid and maintainable, they are sent or assigned to the concerned management or the concerned ombudsman for the further examination and proceeding, and this should be done within 15 days of receiving the complaint. Clear? Okay. Next, if we talk about the awards of the by the ombudsman, now if the matter has been escalated to the ombudsman, now obviously the ombudsman will resolve that complaint. Now, what are awards that can be offered by ombudsman in such case? First of all, direction. First of all, there is a direction that is given to the regulated entity to do or not to do certain act. If any person has some grievances with the entity or the management, the direction can be given. Or second thing, amount or compensation is given to the customer. Means if there is any problem and in which the customer is actually having some losses, so the compensation is provided by the entity and it is ordered by the ombudsman that you have to provide the compensation to the customer. So this can be in two ways. Either there is a direction which has been given to the management of the entity, or there should be a compensation which is provided to the customer on the behalf of the entity. Okay. Now, actual important, how are these can be solved? First of all, the actual amount involved in the dispute without any ceiling. If there is any, for example, amount that is involved in a dispute, the actual amount should be returned without any ceiling. Now, compensation of the loss with a ceiling of 20 lakh, there is a compensation. If there is a consequential loss, so there is a compensation, but the ceiling is 20 lakh. And if there is a loss of time, or expenses incurred or harassment or mental suffering, then the ceiling is up to 1 lakh. So the compensation can be provided that is up to 1 lakh. Okay. So these are the some awards that are given by the ombudsman. Okay. Now, rejection of the complaints by ombudsman. So there are certain complaints which can be rejected by ombudsman without any hindrance. For example, if the complaint is actually invalid and there is no deficiency in the service, if the complaint is for the consequential loss which is actually beyond the power of the ombudsman, then it is rejected. If the complaint is without any reasonable diligence, then it is rejected. If the complaint is without any sufficient cause, then also it is what it is क्या कहते हैं, rejected. And if there is a documentary and oral evidence and the proceeding before the ombudsman are not appropriated, then also it is rejected. So obviously there are certain complaints which are rejected by the ombudsman in the first. For example, if ombudsman think that it is an invalid complaint, there is actually no deficiency of these services on the behalf of the management, then the complaint can be rejected by the ombudsman. Clear? So this is the complete chapter. So let's discuss quickly some of the important question. Okay. First question is very important. Dash act as an internal ombudsman of a bank. I have already told you. Dash act as an internal ombudsman of a bank. Everyone, guys, please answer the question. So all you know that Chief Customer Service Officer, CCSO, act as an internal ombudsman of a. Clear? Next, if we talk about bank are required to have a principal nodal officer at the branch, regional office, zonal office or head office. Principal nodal officer, I have already told you principal nodal officer. So branch should have a principal nodal officer that is equivalent to the post of the general manager, and this should be appointed at the head office for solving the grievances of the customer. Last question, which of these complaints to a bank will not be adequate for filing a complaint with the ombudsman? Okay, so dropping in a complaint box through email, submitting at a branch, which acknowledgement through website on the link is specified. So which was the not correct way, not will be an adequate way of filing a complaint with the ombudsman. So not a correct way. If you are dropping it in the complaint box of the bank, then it is not considered as a correct way for making a complaint to the ombudsman. So A is the correct answer. Okay, so thank you so much guys for joining this session. I hope that you have all enjoyed this session, and if you want to purchase the subscription and courses and batches of JAIIB and CAIIB, you can use the code ID, and there is a 50% off that is running on currently on the website. So if you want to purchase, just please purchase before 16th of August, and you can use this code ID, and in by this code you will get a 50% off on all the plans and projects and all the new batches. Okay, so thank you so much. I hope that you have all enjoyed this session. If you have liked the session, just please like and share the video. And if you haven't subscribed this channel yet, guys, please subscribe the channel and press the bell notification icon. Thank you so much, guys. Till then, take care, everyone. Bye bye, guys. Take care. Bye, everyone.